Well, hello and hello and hello, and a very beautiful day to you. Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els, and it's great to be with you another evening. Or whenever you're going to see this, it is indeed great to have you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Let me welcome Curtis Thomas. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. As usual, it's always a privilege to have you on. And also Eugenia Cumberbatch, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Man, I am excited to see you guys, to have you guys on. It's always a pleasure for you to continually join me in our conversations. And I want you to do something for me. I want you to just go to the bottom left or right of your screen, and I want you to join to share this conversation. All right, let somebody know that Conversations with Dr. Els is on, and they can join in on this conversation. Our last conversation, we have been talking about trauma in marriage or in relationship. We want to kind of finish that conversation today, and so I want you to just let someone know that Conversations with Dr. Els is on. Maria Julian, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els, and I do have some exciting news for you. I'm looking forward to share this news with you, and so just stay with me, and we are going to have a great time. Again, I encourage you to go to the bottom left or right of your screen, and I want you to share this conversation. All right, let everyone know Conversations with Dr. Els is on, and we are looking to have some good times. We are looking to just share with each other, share your wisdom, and we are going to have such a great time. But before we get into our conversation, some of you over the past weeks, I've been sharing some great news with you, and I want you to know that this week, well, let me put it this way: some of you in our conversation, we're talking about drip free. I shared with you my fourth book, right? And that is my fourth book that I've written single-handedly, and I share this with you. I have authored, actually I have published, let me put it this way, I have published four books already, and one I co-authored with Dr. Peter Bonady called These Deadly Dudes, right? And then three others, one for children 3 to 8 called Fruit Friends. It's a children's book. And the second one is for teenagers. It's called Locked In. It's a devotional, and it is locked in, living with faith in a shaken world, and that is for any teenager. And then I have one for the parents, whether you have infant, toddlers, you have teenagers, you even have adult children. This is a very good book for you. It's called Fruit of the Womb: Parenting from Seed to Harvest. All right. Well, I have those books published, but I do have about 6 or 7 more books that I have written, yet to be published. So I have those manuscripts. So in all, I may have about 10 or 11 books already written. And so I am sharing with you these things. So I have been saying to you that I have a book out, a book called Drip Free Marriage, and we started talking about that, and I'm gonna get back to that soon. But I just want to pause and say hi to Princess Vicky. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. My brother Evan Bell Faria, great having you locked on also. Again, I want to urge you guys to just share this conversation. All right, so getting back to this book, I want to share this with you before we get into what we're going to talk about. I thought of it today and realized that I have had this concept for this book over probably over 10 years. I actually started writing the outline and such like that. I had it for a while, right? And then in counseling, in talking with others, in seeing what is happening in marriage across the world, I picked it up and said, I want to write this book. And I remember talking to someone about this book, and they were like, Drip Free Marriage, what's that about? And they didn't really like the title of the book. But it's something that God has placed in my heart. And every time I think about it, I feel this. And the concept, again, which I shared with you, the concept is from Proverbs 27 that says a continual dripping on a rainy day and a contentious woman is alike, right? So Proverbs use that metaphor for one version, say a quarrelsome woman. Proverbs use that metaphor that a quarrelsome or a contentious woman is like a continual dripping on a rainy day. And if you know that if you have a leak, if your faucet is dripping, or if rain comes and your roof is leaking and it is dripping, even when the rain is finished, it will continue to drip and drip and drip and drip, right? And so it is that the Bible is saying. And you know that can be a very annoying. If you have a continual dripping, okay, it is annoying. Not only that it is annoying, but it can be dangerous. It is dangerous because if you have your faucet dripping continually, the place that it continues to drip will soon be destroyed. Okay? And so it is not one rush. It continues dripping daily, and after a while you see that the place where the water is dripping gets damaged or is destroyed. So it is like in a marriage. Marriages don't break down in one go. Someone don't just wake up and decide, I want a divorce. Or you have big domestic dispute where you have police involved in prison. Marriage don't break down just like that. What studies have shown, what I've in my research and in my noticing of things, what I've come to realize is that marriages or relationship breaks down after you have continual little things being built up, right? Continual things being built up. So oftentimes you would hear one partner saying, I have had enough. Had enough of what? Had enough of what has been going on and on and on before. And so therefore, my solution is this, that if you can deal with these drips, if you can deal with these little things that I call drips, right? Then you can have a better relationship. Then you can have a better marriage. I want to pause here and say hello to my brother Rocky G. Sandyford. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. I love you, my brother. So it is this whole concept that this dripping destroys in marriage, and so I have written the book called Drip Free Marriage, and it is not that, let me let you know, it is not that in your relationship nothing will go wrong, but it is that if you continually notice, if you continue to notice the leaks, the small leaks, the drips, and you work on them, then you will not have, as my brother Rocky put it, erosion would not happen. It will not destroy your relationship because you are working on that and those little drips. Because let me tell you this, every relationship will go through its issues. Once you have two persons living in the same roof, under the same roof, or once you have two persons being together for a while, you're going to rub each other. There will be conflict, right? But the issue is not the conflict. The issue is, are you dealing with with the conflict? So this is the whole idea of the book. And the great news is that this book is now available on Amazon. All right, guys, this is now available on Amazon. You can go to Amazon and you can search Drip Free Marriage. We have it both in paperback on Kindle edition for those of you who may not want the copy, and the hard copy, or the physical copy, I should say. So it is there available. In our conversation, several conversations before, right? Some of you would have placed in the chat Drip Free. You have pre-ordered the book. I want to let you know that the book is available on Amazon. And if you want a physical copy, I will be receiving the physical copy. If you're around Brooklyn or the area and you want to get that copy from me that I can autograph it, I will be receiving that copy this week. So you can see me and say, hey, Dr. Neil, I want to get an autographed copy of that book. Otherwise, you can go to Amazon and you can purchase that book. Right, so the great news you've been waiting for is that Drip Free Marriage is now available on Amazon. I want to pause and say hi to Zipporah Straker. Odin, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Andrea Dial, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Kathleen Thomas, you too, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And so the great news is that Drip Free Marriage book is out. It is out. Excellent book. It's a book that everyone, once you are in a relationship, even if you're not married, you are in a relationship, this is going to help you to build that relationship. All right, so you need to go to Amazon or you need to see me and get that book. Not only that, let me add to this news, Drip Free Marriage is not only a book. You know, as I continue to dwell on this and as I wrote and as I prayed about this, you know, God just put in my spirit to put together an entire system. Oftentimes, persons go for counseling when things have gotten out of place, right? When things have gone bad. And my concept, as I said earlier, is that you don't wait until then. You deal with the little things. So I have created a system called the Drip-Free Marriage System. And in this system, you have the Drip-Free Marriage book. Actually, coming out very soon would be the devotional and the journal. Okay, they have already been edited just to get published. So I will have the journal and the devotional out soon. And not only that, but I would have I'm preparing that Drip-Free Marriage course, where you as a couple, this is not therapy, it's not counseling, but you can walk through this system. For those of you who have not done this, I would recommend to you to go to the website dripfreemarriage.com and take the 30-day drip-free challenge. Okay, go to dripfreemarriage.com and take the 30-day drip-free challenge, and I tell you, it will revolutionize your life. For the people who have done this before, they are excited. Someone did it and they sent me back an email and they said, I want to get the book, I want to get the journal, and I want to get the devotional because this is great. Okay, so I challenge you to go and do that. Others have been commenting on it. I want to share this with a friend. So it's an entire system. I also would be training persons who are interested. You know, you want to be able to help marriages. You know, people who have been challenged in their relationship, and you want to be able to help them. I have a certified course. All right, a course that you can do and receive a certificate that would help you to help persons with the drip-free system. Okay, so it is an entire ecosystem that helps you through this, and I want to encourage you guys to check it out as I unroll and unravel the system. Check it out. But for right now, the book is there, and you can get your copy on Amazon, or you can get a autographed copy from me. Okay, so I'm looking forward for that. Those of you who said before, I want to get that book, you place it in the chat before. It is available now, and so you can check it out. All right, let's get into what we have been talking about. Hopefully, we're going to be able to finish this today. But we have been talking about dealing with trauma in marriage, and understand this: not every struggle in marriage started in the marriage. All right, not every problem you see in the marriage started in the marriage. Some things started before the marriage happened, or before both parties got together. Some things happened before that. All right, and so when we understand that, you understand that if a person experienced trauma before they got married, the trauma doesn't disappear because someone say I do. It often follows that person. It hides and then it shows up, especially in intimacy, right? So that happens, and when that happens, oftentimes the other party says, well, he doesn't want me or she doesn't want me. All right, so many spouses, especially husbands, would misinterpret this scenario, and they may think, well, she doesn't want me, or she's withholding intimacy from me, or something is wrong with our marriage. But what is actually happening is that, and I'm using the woman, but it also happens on the male side also. What actually happened is that her body is remembering what her mind is trying to forget. So she's trying to forget the trauma in her mind, but when it is time for intimacy, her body remembers the challenges that she had, all right, the body remembers that challenge. And so even though she wants to be intimate with her spouse or her husband, her body remembers. And then what happens? Intimacy feels unsafe. Even if she loves her husband, it can just feel unsafe. And so her nervous system is reacting. Not just her will reacting, but her nervous system is reacting. So understand this. If you're with someone and the person would have been traumatized even before the relationship, it is not necessarily that they are resisting you, but they're reliving that thing that happened that they were not healed from. And this is a question that someone asked in one of our conversation that I felt we should deal with. Okay, remember, guys, you can share this conversation. You may know someone who still living with trauma and needs help. I want to help you. Or you may know someone who is in a relationship and they feel as if they're in problems because their spouse is traumatized and they're not being happy. All right. So oftentimes that is what happened. Even if you love the person, right? The person, because they were traumatized, then what happened is that they withhold or the intimacy. And so the question was, how do we deal with that? How do we deal in a relationship with someone who's been traumatized? Let me give you this scenario per se. So let's use the woman, because oftentimes it happens a lot with the woman, right? If the woman is traumatized, and when we talk about trauma, we're talking about sexual trauma or physical, or even emotional, because when I use those three aspects sexually, so they may have been sexually molested, raped, or whatever, or they may have been physically abused, or thirdly, things may have been said to them that is so hurtful that they have been emotionally abused. So we're looking at it from these aspects. And if the person gets into marriage, get into the relationship with these things still happening, or they're not healed from these things, then there is challenges in the relationship. And how do you help that person, especially sexually, right? First of all, we said last time, you got to remove the pressure, because this is critical. Because what happens is that the pressure re-traumatizes that person, right? So if in the relationship intimacy is expected or demanded, or if intimacy is used to measure love, if you have, depends on how much or how many times we are intimate, that means you love me or not, or if we are not, it means you don't love me. You have to remove that pressure from that person. You can, because the truth is, love that pressures is not safe love. And healing requires safety. The person wants to know that they're safe. It is the same way, not the same way, but let me put it this way. Love that pressures is not safe love. It is like, if even as a young person, living in a world like this, I've heard persons would say, if you love me, you will be intimate with me. Hey, love that you pressuring the person to be intimate with you, that is not true love, right? So what the other party needs to do is to remove that pressure. And especially for men, know that it could be hard to be in a relationship, in a marriage, and your partner is not being intimate with you. I know that could be hard. But if that partner has experienced trauma, you have to understand, because you have to help her, and it will take patience, right? You have to help that partner get over this. I want to pause and just say hi to the beautiful Dale, Jan, Lane, Neil. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right. The second thing we said, if you have someone traumatized, if you're in a relationship, the other party needs to lead with safety. Lead with safety, not desire. So, because before intimacy can be restored, safety must be built. So what do I do if I am in a relationship with someone who is traumatized? You have to make the person feel safe, all right? That it means that you must have emotional patience. You must have some gentle communication. You have to walk with that person gently. And if the person say not tonight, don't pressure that person. Or don't punish that person because the person said not tonight. Don't make the person feel guilty, giving them the silent treatment and such like that. Don't do that, right? Because you gotta understand that that person is still working through the whole aspect of trauma. And remember, guys, this is a conversation. We love to hear your view. We love to hear your comments. So you can put your comment or you can ask your question in the chat. We will see it and we will respond. We will let everybody see and hear what you're saying. All right. So remember, you are a part of this conversation also. But another thing that you need to know is that you have to learn that person's trigger. Right? If the person is traumatized, you have to know what is causing that person to feel re-traumatized. All right? What are the triggers? What trigger the feeling or the memory of what the person went through, right? You have to know that. And this can include the way you touch the person. Certain touches could remind them of what they went through before. Your tone of voice could remind them of what they went through before. Even your timing. You know, let's use, if we think of a rape victim, if she was raped at night, and then your timing is night, she may remember that, right? So you may need to shift things up. Or if they feel out of control, if they feel that they don't have any control in this situation, that may be a trigger. So you have to know the party, know what is triggering the response of being re-traumatized and such like that. So those are some things that you need to do. We talked about those 3 things last week. Now here is something else that you need to know. All right? You have to redefine what is intimacy. Okay, in a relationship, you have to redefine what is intimacy. If the only definition of intimacy you have is sex, then the marriage will suffer. All right, you have to expand, because if the person was being sexually molested or sexually traumatized, and that is the only thing you can see as intimacy, and that is all you want or is looking for, then the person is going to be re-traumatized. So now you have to rethink that. You have to think of things like holding hands. You have to think of sitting close to the person. You have to talk with them, talk deeply. You have to get into deep conversation with the person. Make the person feel safe. Make that be something that you cherish with the person. Okay? Even praying together. So you must have those safe non-sexual touch. hugging, holding hands, just being there with the person. And you can say, you can say that, hey, it's okay, I just want to hug you, or let's just talk. Because you got to understand this. Intimacy is not just access to the body, it is access to the heart. Hey, let me say this. You are not just having intimacy with a body part. You are having intimacy with an entire person. So it is not just the body, it's the heart. All right, so here's a question. What happens if the partner, the female, entered the relationship and had never told her spouse about the trauma, but then becomes trigger along the way? Right, so here is the thing. We talk about this in a conversation. There are certain things that you've got to understand that you will need to discuss. That is why communication is very important. And so if the person has never said that, right, and they enter into the relationship without saying that, and you start seeing that, hey, I realize that every time I do this, or I realize that the person is holding back, or you will start to see certain patterns. And then this is where you now have to gently have the conversation. You would have to find ways of starting that conversation with the person. I notice that every time I do this, that you react this way. Or I notice every time I approach you that you are resisting. Is there something wrong? So it's going to be very important for you to talk to that person. Now, I must add, in some cases, because more than one, in some cases, you may need counseling. The person may need to find a therapist. All right, they may need to find a therapist, because they would have to walk through it. But what we're saying here is that you, as the other partner, you can also help. And you also have to be patient. You have to understand that if this is the case, then you must work with that person. Right? So you will define the whole aspect of intimacy. Right? Understand also that healing is not instant. One of the biggest mistakes one of the biggest mistakes that people make is to say, we have been married for X amount of years, you should be over this by now. No. Honor the pace in which the person is getting healed. Some people will get it over fast. Some may take a little longer. Trauma does not respond to timelines. Okay? Trauma responds to safety and to process. So you can't say, hey, this is so long, you should have gotten over this before. One person may get it over in a short space of time, but another person may need a longer time to get over that situation. So honor the pace. Help the person through the pace. Right? Because again, as I say, healing is not instant. So you honor the pace. Not only that, but you got to encourage, and I said that before, the person may need professional help. And not only that, because some people, when you talk about professional help, when you say go to a counselor, so they feel, well, you may think I'm crazy or something like that. You, the other partner, need to normalize the fact that, hey, you may need some help here. Let me pause and say welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els, Reverend Wayne Webster. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. So this is very important for credibility. You can say, let's go together, or understand this. Let me say this too. Some wounds are spiritual, and you may just need one touch from Jesus. You may need just some spiritual intervention. But some wounds are also psychological and neurological. And so you may have to find someone. Wisdom says get help where healing is needed. If it is spiritual, you get help, you get deliverance, you get spiritual help and such like that. If it is psychological and neurological, find someone who can help you there. And I'm not saying even if it is that God cannot help you. God can help you. But you as a partner has to normalize the fact that professional help may be needed. So you have things like probably trauma-informed therapy. You may have Christian counseling. There may be need for a support group. You gotta help that person. You see, this is what we are talking about when we talk about drip-free marriage. We are talking about dealing with the issues in marriage, working through them, working with your partner. And this is one of the very real issues that people are having in relationship, in marriage. You have someone who has been traumatized and they are now in a relationship, because the truth is, there are persons out there who believe, well, if I could just get into a relationship after what happened to me before, it will help me forget about what happened. That does not always happen. And so you could get into the relationship and you can bring more damage to the relationship. So you, the other partner, need to help the person who is traumatized or who is reliving that situation. But what about the spouse with the trauma? They need responsibility also. And so you got to give them responsibility without shame. Because you must say, well, but why do I have to do all of this? So he or she be able to do something about it? Understand this. The person is not necessarily at fault. They are not at fault for the trauma, but healing is their responsibility. Let me say that again. The person are not responsible, or they're not at fault for the trauma, but healing is their responsibility. They have to want healing. So you could say to them, you're not responsible for what happened to you. But they gotta understand they're responsible for not letting what happened before destroy what God has given them. So they now need to be willing to work through this. And if you are within this conversation, you know anyone, they also got to understand that they must guard their heart, especially even if as Christians, they gotta guard their heart. Because they may feel rejected, they may feel frustrated and confused, and they may feel tempted and such like that. They gotta guard that. What happened to them is not their response, is not their fault. But they do not they do not have to stay where they are. They can rise from that. And you as the person, you can be compassionate. Be compassionate with them. Right? And you can also express your need for intimacy and all of that. But how you express it will determine whether you are helping that person or you are hindering that person. So the idea here is that if to deal with someone, because we're responding to the question that was asked in one of our conversations, how do you deal with someone that you are with who have been traumatized? We're saying you have to be patient with them. You have to walk with them through it. You have to show them that they are needed. You have to, in some case, you may have to offer them professional help. You have to give them time. You have to redefine what intimacy is, not just physical, but talking with them, praying with them. You have to understand what the triggers are. Okay? So, here's what I would say to you in answering the question. You need to give safe love. Slow the pressure down. Slow down the pressure. Don't pressure the person. Okay? You have to also, you must acknowledge the pain. The person need to acknowledge that they're still having this pain. You need to acknowledge as the other party that this person is still going through this pain. You have to foster that emotional safety, right? And engage that healing process. Because if you want the relationship in the long term to be better, if you want the marriage in the long term to be better, you have to help the person with that. So understand this. You as the other party in the relationship, you need to help that person. And in the long run, you are going to be a happier couple. You are going to enjoy the fruit of your labor in working with that person. You are going to just be excited that this has happened. And when you look back at the fact that I have helped my partner walk through this, it is quite satisfying. Let me pause and say hi to Nicholas Menard, Great Avenue, locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Also Juliet Murray, Great Avenue, locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Also, it's really great. It's really great to have you guys on. We've been talking about how do we deal with trauma in a relationship, especially when it comes to intimacy. Be patient, right? Be patient. Williams Venus, Great Avenue, locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right, so be patient, and we looked at certain things that you can do to help that person who has been traumatized and who is working through that, to help them so that in the long term the relationship would be helped. All right, so guys, this is very, very important because these are real things that happen. And if you jump in too late and you think that you've missed some of what we talked about, you can always watch this again and pick up on some of the things that we've been discussing. Okay, but like I said when I started, I want to just end with this also. I want to say to you, exciting news. Some of you have done my 30-day drip free email challenge, and you talked about how exciting that was and such like that. Those of you, if you're in a relationship and you haven't done that, you can go to www.dripfreemarriage.com. All right, www.dripfreemarriage.com. You can take the challenge. You can do it alone, or you could do it with your partner. And I tell you, you are going to have a wonderful time walking through that. All right. Also, in our conversations before, I talked about the book that I have written, and I said to you that this book is coming out soon, and some of you would have pre-ordered. You would have said in the conversation, I want my copy. Well, I have news for you. The book is out. Okay, you can find it on Amazon, both as a paperback and a Kindle. If you prefer the digital, you can find it there, and so you can now go right away and get your copy. Those of you who need an autographed copy from me, I am going to have copies available this week. All right, and I can autograph it and get it and send it to you. Right, so this book is available, and as I said before, that the devotional and the journal is coming out pretty soon. It should be out by, if not by the end of this week, by next week. You should see the devotional and the journal. And not only that, but I'm excited to share with you, you can become a certified drip-free marriage facilitator. You can help persons using the system that I've developed. This system is a system that helps persons to walk through the little issues that they're having, the continual little issues they're having, so that it doesn't blow up into the big issue. Because oftentimes marriages break down not just by one big issue, but by a series of little things that has been happening. And if persons are able to walk through those little things, then they would be able to avoid the big, as we may say, blowout and the breakup in the marriage, and walk through this. So I have created a system where you can help persons to do that, and you can become certified. I'm qualified to do so. I've been in marriage for a long time. If you put it together, that would be almost like 25 years married. I have counseled persons, both premarital counseling and marriage counseling. I'm a researcher. I have done many researches, many research in marriage, right, and other aspect of family life. I am a family life educator, a relationship coach. So I have these things. I know what I'm talking about. And so you can be certified to help someone, help others, right? So this system is something that is great. I haven't seen anything like it anywhere else, all right? And you can be a part of that. So first thing I want you to do is go and grab the book and read it, and tell you, you are going to get some great insight. So this has been Conversations with Dr. Els, another edition. We've dealt with dealing with trauma in relationship, and so I want you guys to go over there and help someone. And just in case, I want to share these other tools that I have, or these other books that I have. It is These Deadly Dudes, Exposing Men That Make Marriage a Living Hell. If you're looking for a relationship with a man, you got to know who to choose. So This book talks about exposing men who make marriage a living hell. I also have this book for children. It's Fruit Friends, God's Big Garden Adventure. It's a really exciting book. I have one parent said to me, my son loved this book so much that he's been turning it, going through it, and he tore the book. And I said, you know what? I am going to give him a copy of the book. And I gave him a second copy, and he's just excited about it. So you can check that out. And then I do have this book called Locked In, Living with Faith in a Shaken World. What is the things that are happening in this world. Our teenagers need to be grounded. And so this is a very good devotional. It's a 52-week devotional to help them. And then also I have this book for parents, Fruit of the Womb. Okay. Parenting with purpose, from seed to harvest. Every parent need to have this book. Every grandparent need to have this book. It would help you. Maybe you've made some mistakes in parenting and you have grandchildren and you want to help your son or your daughter. This is a very good book for you. And of course, we just talk about the newly released, now available on Amazon, Drip Free Marriage book. This book that help you to deal with the leaks before they ruin love. How to stop the leaks before they ruin love. All right, so you can get a copy of any of these books on Amazon, and I have physical copies. So it has really been a pleasure having you guys on to Conversations with Dr. Els another time, and so I'm looking forward to see you next conversation, and we are going to have another great time. Hey, remember, whatever you do this week, add value to someone's life, okay? Whatever you do, the person you meet, make sure that when they leave better than when they met you, all right? So whatever you do, add value to that person's life. Until next time, this has been Conversations with Dr. Els. God bless you.